Welcome to This Oughta Be Good. We got Amazon Prime somewhere in the building. Where's he at? There he is. There's Amazon. I believe we're on episode 5 here. Oh, sorry, episode 6 actually. Um, so welcome in, Amazon. Thanks for being here. I know you've had a busy day, so I appreciate you making some time here.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Right. So let's go ahead and get into that. So we were supposed to be on at 5, and typically I do it on Saturdays, but I try and accommodate. We got you know, Sundays sometimes work better for people. But unfortunately, you said something came up, and what was that came up?
Well, so in Richmond, there's an event going on. Um, Charged Up
Yeah,
Fest.
yeah, we talked about that briefly with Mentos. Yep.
So there's a secret mega producer from New York that was appearing at Charged Up Fest. In my opinion, mega producer.
I don't think
Uh,
it's secret. He's on the flyer, right?
yeah, I don't like to spread too much information. But yeah, so we had a rare opportunity, courtesy of Sergeant Len Funk.
Yeah, big up to
We had
Len
a
Funk.
rare opportunity, courtesy of Sergeant Len Funk, to have a little digging expedition, and I was the uh, tour guide
Nice.
with the connections to a certain individual who's got a really disorganized, voluminous selection of records.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that was a kind of an impromptu type of deal, but it was
Mm-hmm.
something that I couldn't turn down. So it was a good
Yeah,
time.
Data Man's in guessed it. Large Pro. So big up.
Allegedly.
Oh, sorry. Allegedly, possibly rumored to be. Also,
I
I
think.
think Pharrell's in town. So
Oh,
crazy, crazy things going on in Richmond. And
I don't think
Anderson Paak was here too, checking
was he.
out. I think Butcher Brown.
Yeah, I don't know if Pharrell and Anderson Paak are as much diggers as Large Pro, or I mean, the East Coast producer in question.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
hey, they're certainly welcome in Richmond.
Who
I'm sure
may
they
or
can.
may not be affiliated with Digging in the Crates crew out of New York.
Indeed.
Um, let's get into the interview part. I hope you had a fruitful afternoon with that. It sounds like that was a lot of fun. Let's
Yeah.
see if you can maybe shed some light on some other stuff since you're being a little evasive with that piece. Can you share the origin story of Journey Through the Crates?
Journey through the crates. Yeah. So I don't know if it really warrants an origin story. It's just kind of like a thing that I wanted to do that needed a name. And I had talked to the homie DJ B Rice about putting a mixtape together at one point, not unlike what you yourself, DJ Mordecai, ended up doing with just kind of underground '90s hip hop stuff.
Hmm.
And that was my idea, is to call it to like journey to the center of the crates,
Hmm.
and just being uh, I don't know, being an ADHD individual. I guess I never really took it to fruition. So when the opportunity to have a radio show came up, just felt natural because that's really my mo. I bring crates of records to the record show, or to the record to the radio
Radio
show.
station.
Crates of
Hmm.
records to the
Hmm.
radio show, and it's just kind of like going through my crates, and it's really just exploring them. Uh, I'm exploring the crates. A lot of times I'll just bring things that I want to play, that I want to hear. So it's just, to me, it's like exploratory journey through the records that I want to hear, and I hope
Hmm.
others want to hear.
Hmm. And so we're seeing a little bit of a piece of your collection behind you. There's, what would you say, three to
Indeed.
four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 times more than that in the house?
Uh, it's not enough. I was just gonna say that it's not enough. It's not enough, and I hope that my wait a minute. I might need to retract my statement. Honey, if you're watching this, like, I won't buy any more records. Okay, so you can fill in the blanks.
So what inspired you to start the show besides just kind of wanting to, play some of what you had and share some of what you had and going through that stuff? Were there any mix shows that you really enjoyed listening to that you checked out?
Peace to Data Man's in, by the way. So
Yeah,
I saw
man.
him
Big up,
talking.
man. Data Man's in.
Peace. Um, well, I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to the music thing. I've always been into music, but I was into other things. I was into cars for a long time, and it just kind of really consumed all my free time. And at a certain point, I just got into collecting music, and just kind of started with wanting to get copies of the records that I really loved or the music that I really loved, and it just kind of uh, exploded from there into discovering new things. And I started discovering a lot of the more independent records, the underground records, especially from the '90s, and I kind of realized like really the only people that in the 2020s or the 20 teens, the only people that are really campaigning for these records or trying to get these records heard are overseas, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's in Europe or Japan, those kinds of places. And I was like, just thinking like, people that needs to be these things need to be heard. They need to stay in rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And people have done shows with that kind of music, but I feel like there's always got to be somebody that's putting those things into the airwaves just to keep
Mm-hmm.
them alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like how I see myself. I don't think that I'm breaking new records. I don't think that people are discovering new things for me necessarily, although it would be fantastic if they do. But I just feel like, you have classic radio, you have radio that plays the hits, but I
Right.
feel like the music that's a little bit more obscure, that's excellent, needs to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
just, I just kind of see it as my duty to keep those things like in the ether, to try to keep those things. And I just get so enthusiastic about things that I discover that I love. I just want people to. I don't want to be the only one. I want other people to share in my enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I hope happens.
And that's on WRIR Richmond Independent Radio 97.3 FM. You can catch it live streaming as well, and then you post some episodes on Mixcloud as well, right?
Yeah, I try to update Mixcloud page once in a while. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really like their subscription model right now.
Right.
I think they limit you to like 10 episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
you gotta pay a monthly like $15 or something like that a month if you want to expand it. I'm not really making any money off the show, so it seems kind
Right.
of counterproductive for me to do it. But I do try to like freshen it up. I've got one or two things on YouTube. Um, my YouTube channel is the same, spelled the same way as my IG profile. If anybody wants to check it out, I know there's like at least two mixes up there. And
Mm-hmm.
on the WRIR page, if you go to WRIR.org and you go to shows, it's under Panoramic and Journey Through Crates. So you got to
Mm-hmm.
look under the P's to see it. I split the show with the homie Straw, who does the odd Saturdays, or actually the even Saturdays. I did the first and third Saturday. He does the second and the fourth. So I try to keep the playlist and the streaming or the last of the episodes up on that site. Um, sort of try to keep it up.
Yeah, big up to Straw. So how has your musical taste evolved like over the years, and what role has like Journey Through the Crates kind of played in that evolution?
Well, it feels like a stereotype. It really does. I mean, you see it, especially with my generation. I think the people that really grew up with hip hop and people that were really influenced by hip hop. You go through a phase where you just love the music, and then at some point you understand that the music was derived from another place, and then you want to explore that music.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of starts with breakbeats, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is are the famous samples, and like you want to get those records because it's the origin point, and then you realize that you love that music just like the producers when they discovered it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you realize that those same artists made other great music, and you start looking for players, drummers and bass players and guitarists and vibraphone players on other records, and it's just endless. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it feels like a cliche because I think most people that grew up with hip hop end up at some point getting into the sample thing and then getting into soul and funk and jazz and rock music.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's undeniable. If you really love music and you love what hip hop is about, you see the roots, and you just realize how like there's an infinite amount of music, excellent music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Big up to J1. Salute to
Salute.
J1.
J1 City.
Um, so like you
Uh,
said, your show features a blend of hip hop, funk, soul, and rock. How do you like curate your playlists to like seamlessly like kind of integrate the genres?
well, um, I don't know. It's a work in progress, honestly. I don't even know if curation is the right term because I just it's fly by wire. You know, it's improvised. I know you did many shows for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually think I told you this, but I was looking at your playlist on Soulstrut from like 15 years ago the other day, and I was
Mm-hmm.
going through like, oh wait, I got this album. Like, I haven't heard this cut. Like, I gotta go listen to this again. Like, he was playing this and like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I think I try to have a theme. Maybe I'll do an episode that's all remixes. So I'll play
Mm-hmm.
all like 12-inch
Mm-hmm.
singles that are
Mm-hmm.
remixes or different versions than you're used to hearing. Maybe I'll play all obscure underground East Coast stuff, which is like my favorite thing, my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just stuff that you need to hear, that I think you need to hear. It's like stuff that I want to make in my own personal mixtape a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe I'll do a whole episode of just like fusion jazz, or just all 45s, or I just try to keep it interesting. I try to come up with some kind of theme to
Mm-hmm.
make me want to do it, um, because that's really the only reason to do it is if you enjoy it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes I have an mo, sometimes I have a plan, sometimes I have a structure, and sometimes I just put a bunch of stuff together that I've been listening to, and you know have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're not originally from East Coast though, right? You're
No,
Midwest like me.
no, no. Well, I was born in PA. I was born in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
but I grew up in Iowa in the
Mm-hmm.
Midwest,
Mm-hmm.
which is not exactly famous for its involvement in hip hop or music
Mm-hmm.
history in general. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like shout out to Caitlin Clark, but Iowa is just not it. It's for
Mm-hmm.
culturally. It's a great place to live, but it was difficult. It was difficult to really find out what was going on with music when I was growing up. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this the other day. So, like I said, I grew up in Iowa. I grew up in Iowa City. It's a college town, but it's still Iowa, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to say. So, uh, I discovered hip hop music from a show called Nick Rocks. And when I was a kid, we had the set top boxes with all the cable channels, and channel 34 and 35 was like 34 was MTV, 35 was Nickelodeon. My
Mm-hmm.
parents didn't really trying to let me watch MTV as a 9-year old or 8-year old, however old I was.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of play that game where you get close to the TV and you hear your parents coming. You just like switch to Nickelodeon. It's like right next
Mm-hmm.
door.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, like MTV really wasn't playing anything but rock music and pop
Mm-hmm.
music. I think it was a Saturday morning. I was watching this show called Nick Rocks on Nickelodeon, which is basically like a kid's version of a music video show.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember the impression it made on me when Run DMC, It's Tricky, came on, and these
Mm-hmm.
guys in their triple fat goose coats were hopping in the helicopter and taking off, and just being bosses, and just like the sound of the music. It honestly, it just captivated me when I was
Mm-hmm.
just seeing that video. It's just like I just became an instant sponge. Like I just couldn't, I just kept thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember exactly how, but somehow I ended up with the Raising Hell LP on cassette, and I was just listening to it, and it wasn't really explicit or really bad for kids or anything, so my parents were cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started talking to friends at school, and I found out that my buddy over here had like Run DMC King of Rock, and my buddy over here had LL Cool J. I'm Bad, and just like we just started trading like copies of tapes, trading tapes, and I found out that our family friends at church, my parents were really close with this family from Lebanon, and the actually two families, the Etries and the El Khoris, and they had sons that were like a year older than me, and I found out they were into hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
and we're in like youth group, and they're talking about Mama Said Knock You Out and like how great it is. And we go to a New Year's Eve party and they're watching UMTV Raps and NWA is on there and they're talking about Ice Cube and all this stuff. And I'm just like going through their tapes and it just like, it just spurred that whole second level of interest. And next thing you know, I find the Source magazine. I started watching UMTV Raps and it just kind of like snowballed. And even though I wasn't really in an area that had any sort of influence in hip hop, it was all secondary. Those things like the magazine and the video show, and then Rap City came on. All those things just really helped me grow and grow my interest. And that's really all.
That's dope. Yeah, my boys love It's Tricky. I don't think I got to mention that with Jay Quan, but they love the Crazy Frog version, of course. But like, this is this is Run DMC's song, but and they got into the videos for that too. But the Crazy Frog versions. But
I have to check that out. I'm gonna have to Google that after this. I didn't know about the Crazy Frog versions.
Don't do it.
Thanks, Mal. Thanks, Nolan and Mal.
Yeah, man. So what sparked your interest in collecting vinyl records, and like what is the most like prized record in your collection?
Okay. Well, it's it's another thing that has kind of made this whole thing feel natural to me. And I don't want to over explain, but I guess that's kind of what this is about. So I'll just kind of take it back again to my childhood or my adolescence. I want to say about maybe like 13 or 14, something like that. We just kind of had this routine. I would get home from school and we had one car in the family and my mom was a reference librarian at the university. So every day my dad would go pick her up from work at like 5 o'clock. So I'd get home from school, 3:30, whatever time it was, and I would hop the bus and I would go downtown and I would start going to the record stores. And I had this route. There was probably like 5 record stores in town. And I would go to certain ones were like my favorites, and then I would hit the other ones like periodically and just kind of see what was around. It was one of the other great things about growing up in that time is that you would be attracted to music just by the album cover. So you would see, the artwork just means so much, like you would just be captivated by a certain album cover and just buy it on the strength. You couldn't hear it. You just like trusted that it would be good, or you saw a certain artist was on it, or it was on a certain, like it was on Cold Chillin', or it was on Ruthless Records. Ruthless Records was definitely my go-to at a certain point. And so I would kind of hit these record stores every day, and I'd usually just find scraps. I didn't have a lot of money. I had a paper route. So just whatever money I could scrape together to buy tapes or maybe CDs. And there was a spot called a Record Collector in my town that had, it was one of the only places that had hip hop records, and it was always in the used section. So I would get stuff that maybe was given to the radio station as a promo, and they would get it traded in. So it was I didn't really have to pick of what was there. It was just like whatever was there. If it looked interesting, the records were like $2-3, so I'd pick them up. And I probably accumulated about maybe like a couple dozen records, not that many. And I had friends that obviously like-minded people kind of gravitate to each other, and I ended up like a couple of my friends were into hip hop and stuff, and they would borrow my records, and like I'd get them back, and they were all skated up because they were practicing scratching. With their belt drive turntable, like way too much weight on it. They didn't know what they were doing. And so I would, hold on a second.
Oh, you're good. I just put you solo.
I don't like
interesting story.
So I would just end up with this like dozen records or something like that after they were still usable, and I had them out in my shed, and I would just keep doing my thing with like CDs and tapes in the meanwhile. And at a certain point, I want to say it was like kind of went that way. Like I was just had my ear to the street a little bit about music, but my thing was always I was into cars as I got older, and I was just kind of like hip hop and music was kind of on the periphery. I was always into it, but it wasn't like my thing. I started getting into flipping things at the thrift, like vintage hats and jerseys and stuff like that. Like I would go to Goodwill and find stuff that was cool, and sometimes I would be able to flip it on eBay and stuff. And I went in one day and it was Goodwill off of Azalea. It's not there anymore. And I went in the door, and there was a giant display of records right near the
Mhm.
front door.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how, I'm guessing maybe like 1,000, 800, 1,000, something like that. And it was just like in my face. I couldn't miss it. So I started going, just looking to see what it was. And I saw like Group Home and like Jizza and all these records in there. And I was like, wow, like these are $1 a piece. Like I can't not, I can't not buy some of these records. I think
Mhm.
I ended up buying like 100 records that day.
Yeah.
And still like some of the best records I got now. I got that time. And it just kind of sparked this interest because I'm like, wow, now I actually got some good records. I got to get a decent turntable to listen to the stuff on. And it's like, well, I got this record, but I don't have that one, and like that one's much better. And like, why don't I have that? And it just, everything from the artwork. I was like, man, these 12-inch covers are so cool. I got to get more of these. And then I'm just like,
Mhm.
well, I only got two of his three albums. I got to have all three. And it just like, it just snowballed into um, the point where eventually I was like, well, man, I got all these records. I'm just a poser. If I don't have any records, like I got to make these records sound good together. And
Mhm.
um, that's that's kind of how it happened. I was just a late bloomer. I was
Mhm.
always
Mhm.
into music, but the vinyl thing didn't really happen for me until much later. It just kind
Mhm.
of felt like it was meant to be.
That's dope. Yeah, I had a similar come up at Goodwill. I forget what year it was, but I think a DJ like sold or dropped off their, or maybe the girlfriend of the DJ dropped off their collection, right? And so there was a bunch of hip hop stuff. I think I don't know if it was the same Goodwill, but it's not there anymore. Um, and they
There
had
was
a
another drop at about the same time by Horsepen. They got some of the same guys' records, so that it might have been that one too.
yeah, the one I
But
was at, I'm thinking of was Chamberlain, and I think I got
yeah,
Ninth
that's
Creation,
the same one
Ninth
by
Creation at that one. Yeah,
mm.
the
And this,
Falling in Love.
since we were talking about our origins, vinyl origins, this record right here, this is the Pete Rock and Seal Smooth. Actually, no, this is the Flip the Script. Where's it at? Oh, I got it up on the wall. Never mind. But one of those like dozen or so records I was talking about that I had since I was an adolescent that I kept through all those years was the Pete Rock and Seal Smooth, the Creator, and Mecca and the Soul Brother, the promo one with the wig out mix,
Mm,
the one that's like mega rare.
right.
And somehow that was like one of the records I bought for $3 at Record Collector in Iowa City as like 15 years old or whatever it
Yeah.
was, and I still got it. I actually got it up on my wall now. So
Good luck. Come up.
that to me is just kind of like the seed that it was always meant to be. You know what I'm saying?
Just want to shout out a couple people. Craig Belcher, shout out for checking in. My sister checking in. Billy Crystal Fingers, salute. So
So
talking about big scores,
there.
I put together like a little slideshow. So I wanted to go through some of this as well. Um, and I know we were talking about records, but one of the first ones I wanted to talk about was a tape, actually,
Oh yeah.
pretty recent come up. Natural Order of Things. What can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah. That's a cool story. I mean, I think it's a cool story. So right around the time that I found all those records at Goodwill, they just really kind of like ignited that interest for me. I started looking in Craigslist for ads, more people selling records, just trying to see what else was out there because it seemed to be going pretty cheap, and I really wanted to try to like amass more of a collection.
Hmm.
And this guy had an ad on Craigslist that was selling a bunch of hip hop records, and I think I definitely wasn't the first person to call him. I know either Marty or Drew from Steady Sounds was a friend of his,
Yeah,
and he
shout
had
out to
gone.
Marty and Drew from Steady
Yes,
Sounds for sure.
yeah, definitely,
Missed that
definitely.
shop too.
Yeah, absolutely. Salute, salute. So I messaged this guy, and I think his name was Brent, actually, for whatever it's worth. But I ended up uh, meeting up with him. He was getting a divorce, and he had a bunch of records in his house. He just really needed to liquidate or get rid of. And I think he tried to take the stuff to the stores to see what he could trade in. Like I said, Steady Sounds had picked up some stuff, and he had a lot of good stuff left. I got a lot of really good underground stuff. Like I think I got like 5 or 6 Godfather Dons, 12-inch singles, and
Nice.
just like like late '90s, early 2000s, like some stuff that I was really into.
Hmm.
And there were a couple kind of like things on the periphery about the things that he had. And I still think about the stuff that I passed over because I didn't know about it.
Right.
I'm sure he had a lot of great stuff that I just wasn't hip to at the time. But he had a pretty good collection of CDs off to the side on these CD racks. And I asked him, I was like, "Oh yeah, like what's up with the CDs?" He's like, "Well, I'm probably just gonna donate them. Like I think they offered me like, or they didn't want them at the store or something like that. They just wasn't worth their time when he tried to trade them in." So I started going through the CDs and I found something pretty incredible. The Eminem Slim Shady EP that I know Sandbox Automatic had sold it at the time, and that was one of the CDs he had in there. I didn't really know it was like mega rare, but he agreed to like sell it to me, like all these CDs for like $2 a piece or whatever the case was. And I had to go to the ATM and get some cash for the rest of the money. And I got back and he's like, "Man, I just looked at this online and some guy's asking like $300 for this CD." I was like, "Well, I mean, you don't have to throw it in. It's like, whatever,
Yeah.
man, you know, if it's a problem, just keep it." He's like,
Mm-hmm.
No, I told you I'd sell them to you. Just like take them all. So I ended up scoring that. That's another story about
Mm-hmm.
what happened with that. But he had this shoebox of cassettes and a lot of just like loose, like no shells or just a shell and no tape stuff. And there was some cool stuff in there. I was like, "What are you gonna do with these tapes?" And he's like, "I don't know, man, just whatever." He's like, "You can have them if you want."
Mm-hmm.
And I got tapes that were in the shoebox. It was like DJ Qbert, a couple of there. It was like 2 or 3 of the Scratch Pickles tapes, stuff like that. There were a couple. It was like Element Magazine mixtapes, just cool stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this tape, The Natural Order of Things.
Yeah, man.
And I really, especially just being like a surface level hip hop listener, I was like, I don't ever heard of these guys, whatever. It's cool, but you know, I just put it in the box and I just kind of like left it wherever. And kind of as my music taste grew and as I started expanding my horizons as far as like my ear just became a little bit more learned and like open to new stuff, I was going through those tapes and I found that one. And just one day, I don't know, it was like 3-4 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on my tape deck in my room and I was just listening to it, you know, like in the background. And this song, the first song came on and it was about halfway through the song. And I was like, wow, this is really familiar. Like I know this song.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to listen to it again. I was like, it took me a while to figure out where I knew the song from. And because I've been kind of a nerd about independent hip hop, especially
Mm-hmm.
like those 90s hip hop, underground stuff, on my playlist that I listen to in the car and stuff like that, there was a song, it was just called Untitled Demo
Mm-hmm.
on this guy's YouTube page. And the song on this tape was the Untitled Demo song that I was like totally into. And nobody knew what it was. And I had the tape. Next thing you know, like I have the tape and it's got a track list and it's got the names and everything. And it's from Richmond.
Yeah.
So it's got credits on it, stuff like that. I started looking up guys on the internet. I found Bear One on Instagram. He was one of the producers, and Clef Dollars was the other producer.
Right.
So Clef, rest in peace, from Richmond. Clef Dollars and Bear One were basically the guys that put this project together. It's a compilation of a bunch of local artists that rap.
It's dope. I don't want to cut you short, but I wanted to bring in I don't know if you could see him, but we got a special guest. DeedaBam is here.
Oh,
He did the artwork, so I wanted to bring him
salute.
in as a surprise guest. He's been very
Wow.
patient today.
Amazing.
I had to
The
tell him,
artwork. Yeah,
I said,
the cover art.
Sam's postponing the interview. Like you're gonna have to hold tight if you can, you know, otherwise you might have to reschedule, you know. Come to find out he was out digging with Lord, somebody possibly related to what we're going to talk about. So appreciate you, your patience, DeedaBam. And, if you had anything to add on, particularly about this project, feel free.
First of all, mad respect to DeedaBam. Like Ill Biscuits, man. This project, like I wasn't really in the scene at the time, but man, your work lives on. So for what that's worth.
Yeah, I appreciate it. First of all, thank you guys for including me on this. In general, Can you hear me?
Thanks for being here, man.
Hear
Yeah,
me
yeah.
well?
Thanks for being here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, well, it's absolutely hilarious that this particular project was found, because it was really like I mean, I can tell you the whole background story as
Yeah,
I
yeah, go
think
ahead.
about it, but ultimately it was just kind of something that so we had a collective, a crew of guys, and one of the homies, um, big up the Black Seas, he got a recording device that could record multiple tapes at once. So once he got that, that's where the project kind of started taking off. And this one in particular was one of those things where you pull different people and their different skill sets. So we had the production initially, Black Seas, who had the multiple recording tape deck. And then you had Bear One and Clef, who were going to work on the production. And then we would just went about getting different people to feature on it. And, you know, by that time I was really into like fine art. So I was the one who did the cover and the layout and stuff. So yeah, that was my role in this particular endeavor. Yeah.
What's the picture about?
So, you know, it was like when you think about the natural order of things, right? You think about babies. So the youth is the truth, you know what I'm saying? The youth are the future. So when we were talking about the natural order thing, it was probably me who came up with the name. I was really good at coming up with names and that type of thing. So the natural order thing just came out of the fact that like I personally was looking at the world and seeing where the future lies. And the natural order thing is like, we as adults are going to pass away, and then the youth are going to come and follow us. So, and that's what we were doing in the production. We were putting on basically younger up and coming MCs in the area.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was the whole kind of concept of that.
Were they all from Richmond or Petersburg?
So it was good question. Like people from all over. So you know how Richmond is. In Petersburg in particular, because it's a military facility. Right. And that's kind of how me and Clef had a connection.
Yeah, I listened to B. Rice's interview. We mentioned B. Rice earlier. He does Mid-Atlantic Jams, and he interviewed you, I think, back in 2018. And that you know, he asked some of the same questions I was gonna ask you, so it was good that I listened to it beforehand.
Right.
But I know you mentioned Petersburg kind of being, you know, a melting pot for military families. Sam's in Richmond. I'm in Richmond as well, Richmond area. Right. And you're in Chicago. Is that still true now, or?
No.
Maybe that was 2018.
We live in upstate New York right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I was in Chicago for probably about 17 years.
That might have been in 2018 when he interviewed you then.
Yeah. So,
so I could probably go in, you know, for a long time, and Sam probably has a ton of questions about this release, but I got a few more I wanted to talk about as well with you. So this is Ill Biscuits Chronicle of Two Losers. Sam actually has a quote in it. Sam has a quote in I think an article Craig did about this reissue or release. I guess it's the first time it was put out on vinyl, right?
Sure.
It came out on CD officially, and I think in Germany at the time. What year was that? 90? Was it 6? When the album like officially came out, but then it
right.
So y'all got dropped shortly after it came out, right?
Right. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm the worst historian of the group. You know, but so. Yeah, when it came out, I think we did 2 videos. And I was talking about that earlier today. The dropping from the label was actually a blessing for us because it kept us from having to recoup the money.
The advance and
whatnot. Yeah. So what, record contracts are just loans. So if they breach the contract, then you don't have to pay back the loans.
Mhm.
So I really do think like it was kind of a blessing for us to get dropped because we didn't. Because I have tons of people who got signed, put out albums, but they had to recoup, but they got dropped. So that's a hefty loan to pay back.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When you're young and you don't have any source of income anyway, that's why most people are trying to get signed.
Right.
So
Where did the title come from? Chronicle of Two Losers.
me again. So I have a very self-deprecating sense of humor.
Mm.
So Chronicle of Two Losers is kind of a reactionary thing. So we felt like we were winning. We had two military brats from Petersburg, Virginia, who were able to somehow parlay our way into the scene in New York based
Mhm.
off of things that we had love for our entire lives, but we wasn't necessarily like mainstream.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's kind of, we weren't gangster,
Right.
you know, and the industry really wasn't. So I went to Virginia State University, and that when I was there, Das Effects was there.
Mhm.
So we spent a lot of time, I used to dance because they were dancers and I used to dance too. So you spent a lot of time in the club dancing. But Das Effects whole thing was straight from the sewer. We
Mhm.
wasn't on
Mhm.
that. We were like,
Mhm.
God bless your life. I want to lay back, cool out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was
Right.
kind of on that vibe. So
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah,
chronicle of
that
two
was the other
losers.
video, right? Chill Factor.
Yeah. So we were
Mhm.
losers, but we were winning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Where did
Everybody starts off as a loser until you win.
mhm. Where
So
did
that
Ill
was
Bis
the concept
sorry,
of
I
that.
didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where did Ill Biscuits come from? Was that the name you came up with as well?
I didn't come up with ill biscuits. It's kind of a funny story, but biscuit is like at the time when we were hanging out in New York, a biscuit was a reference to a gun.
Mhm.
You carrying the biscuit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So we were running around with like these New York cats, and because our manager was Laura Finesse's cousin.
Mhm.
Yeah. Was that the Kyrie Records connection?
Kyrie, yeah, Kyrie
Yeah.
Entertainment. That was Kyrie is which is his name is Cam.
Mhm.
He's Laura Finesse's cousin. So we were in New York a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he started calling us ill biscuits because I'm gonna be honest, I used to carry a pistol. And so when we would walk through the hood in New York back in the 90s, I would be kind of walking in front and you know what I'm saying? They would be like, yo, y'all some ill biscuits,
Mhm. Nice.
because we carried the toast on us. We was from the South. We didn't know
Right.
nobody.
Right.
You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Luckily, our personalities were cordial. We're very respectable
Mhm.
young men. So we got through a lot of situations, but that's kind of where that came from.
Thanks.
It's
And
basically like you country dudes is up in New York carrying a pistol.
Mhm. Mhm.
Y'all some little biscuits.
And obviously,
That's
this is
basically
well
what
before the days of spell check too. Obviously,
uh-huh.
this is well before the days of spell check too. Obviously.
Yeah.
that was
Well,
hip hop, right?
I was talking to my
The
oldest.
hip
He
hop
was like,
style.
"Why y'all spell it like that?"
Yeah.
It's like that was the thing. You spell things phonetically.
Like
That's
exhibit.
it.
Yeah, and it
Right.
was an iconic way of doing things. Obviously, and that's one of my favorite things about indie records from that era too. Is some of the phonetic spellings are amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Counterculture. Like
Yeah.
that's basically where it's kind of anarchy. Counterculture type stuff. That's what we was on. So
I
yeah.
So
I
go
had what?
so talking about what Morty was saying about the label contract and whatnot. If I'm remembering this right, um, let's see, you guys were on, was it not East West? It was
Atlantic.
on Atlantic.
Straight Atlantic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wasn't this around the time that that whole body count fiasco happened with the Cop Killer track and people started dropping rap acts? Or was that much earlier?
With Ice-T and Cop Killer?
Yeah.
I don't know if that really had any type of impact on us. I think really what happened to us is like their inability to kind of market us.
Mhm.
Because, you know, I mean, you had groups like Souls of Mischief on the West Coast, but they didn't really have like, to be honest, like Clef was a skater. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
I heard that in your interview with B Rice. You said he
yeah,
was
Clef was
sponsored
a
by somebody.
skater. Bear
Who was
One
he?
was a skater. That's how them dudes met.
No.
Who was Clef sponsored by? You said Clef was sponsored by a skateboard
Okay.
company.
I
Do you
don't
remember?
remember who he was sponsored by, but yeah, he was, yeah. So you had like Military Brat. I was very like kind of, you know, I was into culture, so I was like really into 5% culture, knowledge, you know what I'm saying? That vibe. And then but we were like skater dudes, you know,
You didn't fit in their
alternative.
perfect boxes of
Yeah.
marketable
It
rap
was like,
groups.
yeah, that's what they was trying to market. So group
Mhm.
labels like Atlantic, they had big groups, you know what I mean? Like, so to try to deal with us, and the reason we got signed because we did a lot of independent stuff, Precursor, and we had a lot of like, you know, historical type people backing us, but it
Mhm.
was just like, what do you do with these two Military Brat skater dudes, artist type? You know what I'm saying? It was a bit much. Then you fast forward to like, you know, times where that's extremely marketable. So sometimes
Right.
it's timing sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
What
In
was
my
the
Yeah.
name?
I could see that. You know, where's the mainstream appeal? Obviously, like skill wise, there was no issue, but where's the mainstream appeal in something? Maybe yeah, it just seemed like music had to be catchy to really generate sales.
And I
And
think also at that time they wasn't really developing acts
right,
because a lot of people were coming in with those one hit wonders.
yeah,
You know, so you know, it could have been a developmental stage with us to get the public into what we were doing, but you know, they were just coming in with like one hit wonders. They don't need to develop anybody. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, you know.
I
So
got a I got a question too
sure.
about the LP. So why the track 22 years that Lord Finesse produced? Why was that not on the album?
Oh, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of those decisions were way beyond my scope. You know what I'm saying?
You would think that somebody with that kind of reputation, it would help generate hype for the album if you saw like Large Professor and Buckwild did a track. You know, you think they would help generate interest in the project.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, that's saying that now. Like we know, you know, at that time, it almost seemed like now New York, finesse in New York was huge,
Yeah,
but outside, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about legends now,
sure.
but at the time there were legends in the making. You know, like I went to Lord Finesse's place. He had basically an efficiency apartment in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so a lot of those decisions were beyond us and me. You know, it's like we're kids. You know, people are gonna put out what they want to put out, and we were super excited to go hang out with Lord Finesse, Just West. You know what I'm saying? Wu
Mhm.
Tang, all these different people. We were excited about it at the time, but I was at different venues where like I was at a show in Richmond, and you guys stepped off the stage, dapped me up, and was like, "How was that?" You know what I'm saying? So we're looking at it in in the long term, but at the time, it's like, you know, people understand Lord Finesse now, but
Mhm.
and in New York, I would walk around with Lord Finesse, and it was just like, yo, it's the funky man. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It would crack me up, like walking around with him, because Finesse is a funny dude. Like he's a very comical type person, jokes for days. So yeah, a lot of those decisions were beyond us, you know.
I had a couple questions based on your interview with B Rice.
Yes, sir.
I want to kind of keep them quick and short. What was the name of your dance crew?
Dance crew? I don't think we had a name.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
mentioned being a dancer and kind of just being in the
yeah, I
scene.
would
So I was
dance a
curious if
lot.
you were part of like a dance crew, I guess.
So yeah, initially it was like me and my homeboy Dakota. Like,
Mhm.
yeah. And my
Uh,
cousin Damien.
you mentioned Ill Biscuits came out of a group called Students of a Universal Language, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there footage of y'all performing at the Apollo? You said you did like performed at the
So
Apollo.
you know, the Apollo has a lot of stages
Mhm. Mhm.
to get to the broadcast.
Gotcha.
So we went like on one of the like type audition type so
Who was Hatred? They're featured on the album on Chronicle of Two Losers.
you got me there. I'm not
It's all good.
sure.
All right. Last one before we
They just,
move
they just
on.
going by Steve. You know, I don't know about Hatred.
Did you do Clef's logo on the Dawn and the Maria 12-inch? It
Mm.
has like kind of a graffiti looking logo on that one.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I know I did the shirt that you have on.
Right. I was going to get to that. That was kind of my
Yeah.
transition question.
Mm-hmm.
So you
I
did
had
this logo.
yes,
And that's actually
absolutely.
how we connected because you found out that I had bootleg shirts printed up and I didn't realize that you
Uh-huh.
did the logo. So I appreciate you, you know, how you came to me and I apologize for not reaching out to you. I didn't know that you had done this logo, but I appreciate that it, you know, helped us connect. And
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I did
No, it's
want to
always
say,
funny to me.
I did want to say going back to the natural order of things, I know Sam had said Bear One might be, you know, talking about maybe reissuing it in some shape or form. I thought it'd
Right.
be dope to have a shirt that had the natural order of things, like maybe on the sleeves, and then like the big like picture on the front. But you know,
I love it.
I wasn't able
Yeah.
to get Bear One, you know, in contact with him. So if
You
or
know,
when either of
He's a
you do,
busy man.
yeah,
and I was thinking about that too. You know, I had messaged Bear. I don't really know Bear One like that, but I had messaged him once I found out, you know, who he was and how he's involved. And I was like, hey, like this song's got however many, like 250,000, 300,000, however many it was, like views, and everybody's trying to figure out who these guys are, and it's
Right.
you guys. Like, and I know, you know, originally like he sent this the first track, Bring the Terror, like he he hit he knew the MC still, and he hit him, was like, hey, look at this, man, everybody's fanboying about your song, like, and he was excited, you know.
Very
But
cool.
I got to thinking about it, and like most of those reissue labels that put those projects out, um, I I know just a little bit about the kind of money that they offer, and then I think about like a compilation project and all the people that are involved, all the different MCs and the producers
Oh,
and the
sure.
artists, and it's got to be like almost no money for each individual person if you split it up. You know, if they sign one of those things to put it out. So I kind of
Right.
like, I guess I kind of understand why there wouldn't be a lot of interest in issuing that on a physical format. But
but the
man,
Yeah.
track's
it's
so
Well,
dope.
my thing is, so I had a guy from, oh God, he was some Eastern European country contacting me for years and years.
mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I don't have rights to any of that stuff. So I can't really singularly like sign off on it. So my idea was to agree to one of those reissued contracts and had the money routed to Clef's charity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, because overall, at the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's about keeping what you did, your legacy alive. You know what I'm saying? So I don't begrudge. You know, that's why when I reached out to the brother, it wasn't begrudgingly. It was just like, I'm the one who did it. Be in contact with me because I'm an open book. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, you know, I'm not that type of dude. So, but a lot of people aren't like that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, only because I went out into the world and I pattern my life where I eat every day and have a roof over my head. I do cool shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the rest of it is just Clef isn't here anymore. If there's anything I could do to promote what he put down, what we put down, and keep it moving forward, I'm all for it. It's not even a big deal for me, you know.
Were
I'll
you
sing the
into?
brother's praises till I can't, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how, you know, we stay alive is by people still talking about us. So, yeah. So,
Were
you
you?
know, people have to do something from the love, for the love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I will say too, man, for what it's worth, I end up getting involved with or getting to know a lot of folks. One of my best homies is in Hanover, Germany. Shout out to DJ Skelly. And like these guys, I mean, hip hop is the gospel to people, man, and I think a lot of artists don't realize to what extent.
right.
I mean, man, I can't tell you how many people have offered me big money to buy that tape, just to have it. You know what I'm saying? And like these people track
Absolutely.
people down and they email folks and they find out, hey, you're Psycho L, right? It's like, hey, nobody's called me that for like 30 years. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and they're like, hey, do you have any copies of your records? Like, I'll give, or like anything. Like, I'll give you money. Like, here's my address. Like, I'll pay you whatever. And like, people don't
Right.
understand that we're in. A lot of people that were in. I think now they're understanding because they've gotten so many of these solicitations, but people view hip hop music as the gospel, you know, in a lot of ways, and just don't realize how much it means to a lot of people. It was a time, you know, that'll never be recreated, and I think
Right.
so much good music coming out that there was not room for all of it, and I think it's been cycling back ever since. That there's so much, you know, so much that never got the credit it deserved.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Dita, were you into God like Clef? When I met him, he was, you know, really into it. And later, like when I first met him, I didn't realize he was that into it. But he did. We did kind of talk about God Bless Your Life because, like, I think I came across like the Atlantic version of that, maybe Probo 12-inch or something, and I was, it was just funny. I was like hanging out and like, you know, smoking L's with him and everything in his studio, and then he starts getting into like gospel and like Jesus talking. I was like, all right, like okay, but like he kind of kept like growing in that realm. I was just curious if you know, since God Bless Your Life, you know, was the first single, basically, like if that was something you were into or that was
Well, well, I mean, I'll be honest. So I think God Bless Your Life. So me, it's hard to say. I'm not very religious. I'm
mm-hmm,
not into that at all. So,
mm-hmm,
and the conversations that we had before he passed away, it's how he presented to people is different how he presented to me. So that's difficult. But no, uh, around that time, I was very into uh, studying the lessons of the 5% Nation
mm-hmm,
and studying information by people like Dr. York.
mm-hmm,
Unfortunately, you know, like
mm-hmm,
you know, I in particular studied a lot of information. So some of the some of that is kind of like double entendre, like with God,
mm-hmm,
you know. But me, no, you know, I'm basically a skeptic. You know,
mm-hmm.
question everything, and you know, things have to go through the scientific method for it to make sense for me. So
That's
Do you
what,
and
have?
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I can respect that, and I can, you know,
So, but it's hilarious because you got two people like that. That was what kind of came through with some of our art, and because you know we were young, but at the same time you had people who were willing to have different opinions about stuff and still create stuff.
Absolutely. That's necessary. I think that's a grown man thing now. I mean, it's necessary to be able to respect people, just, despite your differences. You don't have to fight people on everything you disagree with, as much as find common ground. I think it's respectable to not just take things at face value. Something's got to mean something to you, and if you haven't had that epiphany, or that, like, hasn't spoken to you, you can't believe in, you got to believe in what speaks to you.
I mean, I'm not convinced, but I'm willing to be convinced type person. Like, you know, I I do not think that I have all the answers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So my default is I don't know. I'm open to be convinced. I'm that type of person.
That's cool,
But
man.
at the same time, I'm going to, do my due diligence to figure things out. So yeah. Clef, we had a conversation before he passed away about his religious orientation, and you know that's the path he was on.
Mhm, mhm.
At the time. So we all go through our phases in life. So.
In
But
the interview, sorry.
he's a very
Go ahead.
kind man, and very talented. Just a wonderful dude, and I miss him a lot. You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and, we did some fun stuff when we were young, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your interview with B Rice, you mentioned your part was mostly art and image. Did you write any of the tracks? You mentioned, I think earlier, that you didn't have what was it? Was it publishing for any of the Ill Business
No,
stuff?
right. So I didn't directly write anything, but the writing process was always like, um,
Collaborative.
check this out. What
Mhm.
and because of my worldview, like a lot of that went into it. It's like, this is what's happening. Like, you know, I was kind of the person where you would run something by, and I would say, okay, well, no, Martin Luther King didn't do that. He
Mhm.
actually did this. This. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, in the B Rice interview, you said you kind of like fact check, like one of the first, like
Yeah,
when you first met Clef. Yep. And you
right.
said this when I talked to you. You said this logo was based on a tattoo that Clef had. That
Say again. I'm sorry.
you said this logo was based on a tattoo Clef had.
Yeah.
Uh,
So right. Yeah. But I was like, he had a tattoo like a Joker, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, and I just kind of flipped it to be him. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's kind of where the logo came from.
And you did this
Oh,
one too,
Dolomite.
right?
Yeah, I did do that one. Yeah,
Who was Dolomite? Did you say it was Gavin Brown?
Gavin Brown. Yeah,
And how
he
did
still
y'all
makes music. He's
how did
dope.
y'all connect?
So Gavin, oh, I know how. So his older brother Kyle was in this group. It was two guys, and they were called the Gideons,
Mhm.
and they would come and hang out with us a lot. But it turned out that Dolomite Gavin was the much more talented one, and so
that's the
we
club. That's
kind
the
of
club that you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that was the Clef logo that I was talking about earlier on the Dawn Maria
uh
12-inch.
kind of like a tag.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
looks
think
like
I
a
did
piece
that one.
almost. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I did that one. No. But I did do the Dolomite. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that logo too.
the graffiti and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dolomite one was impressed me. I actually found that record not that long ago, and I was like, man, this artwork is amazing. Like, somebody like
Well, thank
did the hell out of this white label record. Like, man, like, this
you.
wasn't that just like passing like logo. This was like amazing. I thought.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I
Yeah, Sam.
ran into Dolomite. I know he's around. I ran into him too. Not too long ago, man. It's cool to see that he's still kind of doing the music thing.
Yeah. He's a very talented guy
Sam
and a
posted this
family
one.
man. I think he got married recently, not too long ago. So
Congrats,
congratulations
Dolomite.
for him. Yeah.
Sam posted this one, Discogs, and I think Steady Sounds actually posted his other one, his other 12-inch with the like
Yeah,
red and yellow.
that's man. You really been doing your research there, Drew. Because
I'm trying. You gave me a couple extra hours, so
I found yeah. My fault.
it's all
Um, I
right.
I did find that record at Plan 9. I found a sealed copy of it, and I looked it up. I was like, this thing's not even online anywhere. Like,
Right.
Plan 9.
yeah, this is maybe like 8 or 10 years ago. At Plan 9
Man,
record.
I used to live in that store.
Same.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
In the basement.
Yep.
I don't know if it's in the same building.
So Marty
was
and Drew from Steady
was after
Sounds
that.
used to work at Plan 9.
Yeah, it was this cat, and he used to put me on to like all the like old school dub, like reggae dub stuff. Because I went through a phase, I was nuts about that shit. So shout out to Plan 9. That was my spot. Those people were super cool.
Big up. Well, this next one does not involve Deeda. So Deeda, I want to let you go because I appreciate you hanging out late and
Stick around, DeedaBam. Like, even if
he's got family, man. He's a family man.
around
He's got stuff to do.
you were always welcome. Because you definitely have more to say about this era than me.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I don't want to kick you out. I just want to be respectful of your time, and if we need to set up a separate interview to go deeper on some things, would love to do that. But I wanted to talk to Sam about a few other records as well. So
yeah, I appreciate you jumping in here. That was an excellent surprise.
No problem.
Man, I feel extra guilty about not meeting my obligated time now, knowing that this was in. So I'm glad we still made it work. And man, that's super respect. Like,
yes, sir.
He was very flexible.
Yep. So
was
set
it
up another time for sure.
Was there anything you want to say or promote before you go?
Me? No, not at all. But you guys, I appreciate y'all and keep up the good work, man. Anytime y'all want to reach out to me and chop it up, I'm down. All right.
Appreciate that.
Man, thanks for giving us a little perspective on that stuff too, man. That was great to hear.
My pleasure. All right, I'll talk to you brother soon.
All right. Yeah. Peace.
Respect.
So this one,
you got me, man. You got me. That was a good one, man. Well done.
I tried to get Bear one too, but maybe next time. So this one was produced by the Soul Man, who I am gonna interview, but it's not gonna be for a few weeks. So look, check for that one.
Wait, what happened now?
I am gonna interview Phil Most Chill, the Soul Man, in a couple weeks on here, but didn't have him lined up as a surprise guest. But
amazing.
But he did produce this one. I think you said this used to be one of your top wants, right?
Oh yeah, 100% top one.
Do you know anything about Soma?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't pretend to know a lot about Soma, but I found him on Instagram. He goes by Big Carm on Instagram. He's, shout out to Carm, like Big Carm, like he seems to be doing his thing, like seems to be living a happy life, got a family and everything, involved with his kids and everything, or his son, man. Yeah, he seems like a great dude. But Soul Man, indeed. Yeah, Crystal Fingers knows about the Soul Man tapes and man. Anyway, this is one of those situations like I was talking about the YouTube playlists. I would go through OG Don Ninja is kind of like the gatekeeper of dope 90s indie stuff on YouTube. And I don't remember if it was his channel, but I just kind of like one of those rabbit hole things, and I would just be listening to cuts. A lot of times I'll be driving and just listening to a playlist or something like that. And this song, for some reason, just like really caught my attention. It's this dude from just outside of Pittsburgh, I want to say. Might even say on there. Oh yeah, Ben Salem. I guess it's actually near Philly, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, out of Ben Salem, PA. So I was listening to the song, and this track is just like in your face, boom and bass, and like super like shit talking, punchlines, and just like tongue twisting. I mean, check it out. Like, look at Soma Mass Hysteria on YouTube. That's all I got to say. Just listen to it for yourself. It really made an impression on me. I was like, man, this track is crazy. Like, I gotta find this record. And I started looking on Discogs, and there was like just no copies available. It was one of those deals. It was like a 20-to-1 ratio, like people that had it to people that were looking for it, and no one had been selling it. So I started just kind of checking it periodically, and missed out on it 1 or 2 times. Like it never came up on eBay, and then finally somebody had a copy in Japan, and it was the most I've spent for a 12-inch single. I'm not gonna flex or like look stupid and talk about how much I paid for one record with one song on it. But it was the most I spent on any one record. I'll just put it like that, because I've been on the hunt for probably like almost 2 years, something like that. And dude, I ended up talking him down a little bit, but it was still like ridiculous for like 112-inch. But I finally got it, and it's like still like the holy grail for me of indie hip hop 12-inch singles. This dude, I think he made like one other 12-inch, which is also really good, also produced by Phil Most Chill, Soul Man. And then they had this group called Gun in like 2000. I think they put an EP out that Phil Most Chill produced. It was Soma, and I can't remember the other people's names, but the production on the 2 Soma 12-inches though was my favorite. And yeah, man, that was like finally getting that record was it took a lot of effort for me, and still to this day you can't just go right now and find a copy of it.
That's dope, man. Maybe you can connect me and we can talk to Soma about his stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Get him in with the Phil Most Chill thing, man. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I don't have any more special guests, so don't worry. No one's Kamikaze is not gonna pop out next. Can you tell us about this one?
I'd be scared of these guys. If these guys popped up, I might have to get Ghost. Yeah, this is another one. That the YouTube playlist just kind of like introduced me to. This is a really crazy, really hype song. So the bridge, obviously MC Shan and Marley Marl, like the whole bridge story. Like if you know hip hop, I don't need to explain what that song meant and like how hype it was and all that all the battle that it battle on wax that it provoked and all that kind of stuff. But this is Kamikaze, which is kind of like some of Marley Marl's proteges. And they put this out in 95, the Bridge 95 track. And it's another one. It's just super hype. It's like a song to get stabbed to, basically. I feel like if somebody puts ESG on and, or like Shook One's Part 2, it's like that kind of vibe. It's just like super hype. And this is another one. Once I listened to it enough, it was just like in my DNA. I was like, I got to find this record. And again, like I struggled to find it, and finally ended up tracking down a copy of it. And it was an active process though. Some of these records, that's what makes it mean something to me, is that you can't just go out right now and just get it, or you're gonna have to sacrifice a kidney, to get it, and you got to really, really want it if it's like 1 or 2 songs.
Have you tracked them down?
What's that?
Have you tracked Kamikaze down?
No, I mean they're one of the dudes. I think KL was, so the group Screwball was basically like Kamikaze, and I'm not maybe the best person to talk about what members were in one group and what member was in the other one, but KL passed away a while ago. And one of the main members. But like the Screwball, Y2K album, so it's like a lot of those guys, and like Marley Marl's production, honestly, is one of the things that really makes this what it is. It's just like it's sort of riot. It's that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I tried to do a little bit of quick research on this one too, and I saw that connection with the Screwball.
Man, look at the logo. Look at the logo. I mean, the hand drawn pirate. It just gives you the vibe.
Yeah, I wonder if Deeda did that one too. If he's gonna pop back in. One thing I meant to ask him was if there were any like tapes, because he had mentioned in the interview with B Rice that they were doing more tapes than anything, I think, at first. So I was curious if there were more like tapes out there from maybe the students of Universal Language or any of the other affiliated crew members.
Man, I got sidetracked. I meant to ask DeedaBam about that. So that Mentos, DJ Mentos, did the graphic design. Mentos did the graphic design on this project.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought all the art was Deeda.
Well, no, he did the drawing, like he drew the picture. But Zach Young, actually, I think it even says on here. I'm looking at it now.
Wow, that's pretty wild. Yeah,
It's like
wish I'd known that.
young Designs or something like that, which is Zach, which is Mentos.
Right. How old was he when he did that?
He couldn't have been very old. That was
He
another
was a
thing.
youngin.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's got a copy of the tape, because this guy that I think he's from Mexico. I'm not really sure, but he's been hounding me for this tape, and I wouldn't sell him the tape. And Zach told me that he's got the tape and he had done the design work on it. And this kid, I don't know how much he offered Mentos for the tape, but he couldn't find it. But yeah, that's another layer of the onion. Like Mentos, the graphic designer.
Wow. The connection, man.
Yeah.
So this is the last one I wanted to talk about, was the WeBI Middle Eastern Thought. I want to say Clef produced Box Cutters, right? And that's Born Unique, I think, on that one.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Middle
Clef's
Eastern
involved in
this is
WeBI stuff.
Yeah, this is WeBI. So they had all their stuff said Middle Eastern Thought. I don't know really why. Well, not all their stuff, but they had a yellow one. So the whole label was yellow. They had a red one, which is the rarest one, which is this one. And then they had a white one, which is like the instrumental version of the red one. And then they had a green one, which is like the instrumental version of the yellow one. I think that was all the ones they had that same typeface and font and everything like that.
Yeah, I think I had most of the series. I want to say maybe this one. I was mad that it wasn't just maybe a 12-inch of Box Cutters.
Oh, yeah. So
I was like, I'm glad they were able to put out, basically a full little kind of EP or compilation album. But as a DJ, I was kind of selfish. I was like, I wanted the Box Cutters instrumental.
It is about, yeah. So DJ Rags told me this. I think it's the green one. It's the instrumental. So he's got the Box Cutter instrumental, but I don't even think it's listed on Discogs. It's not online. It's one of those that like the diggers are keeping to themselves. But he said he's got copies in his storage unit, something like that. Which I won't blow up Rags. It's his story to tell. But he's got some pretty entertaining stories about dealing with WeBI.
Yeah, I want to get Rags on here for sure.
I'd love to hear him tell the story. It's not my story to tell, but it's pretty funny to me.
I was trying to get Born Unique as well, actually, as a guest.
Man, I saw Born Unique at the Producers Cup at the Boombox Saturday night. He was with Architect 7. I don't really know Born Unique like that. He's a pretty rugged dude. He's pretty grimy. Like I didn't want to get stabbed, so I didn't really say much to him. But he's about that life. I'm just gonna say that. And this song, Box Cutters, is the hardest track on this record, for sure. There's a little bit of stuff that's un-PC. It's a little bit un-PC in his lyrics, but it's very rugged. We'll just say that.
Right on. Well, big up to Born Unique. Big up WeBI Middle Eastern Thought. And thank you, Samazon. Did you have anything you wanted to mention? Or I know we had talked about, people should follow you on Instagram, catch all your latest finds. I know we didn't get into a lot of the funk and soul, and breaks and sample stuff. But, you've been finding some great stuff. Was there anything you wanted to show or mention before we go?
Nothing that really comes to mind. I think it's interesting that people, if anybody actually watches this interview, I think it's interesting that they're interested. And I don't really consider myself to be in that space. I'm not an artist. I'm just a lover of music, man. Music it's you have to be a certain type of person for music to really move you. I think some people see music as just a peripheral thing, like put on some dance music, or just like put on some funky music, or like put on some relaxing music. And man, I just think that those of us that really love music understand that it's a whole world unto itself, and it's just like one of the most amazing things in life to me is discovering music and passing on the music that I discover, and realizing that it's almost an infinite thing. So man, if I could say anything, it's just that, like, explore it, And if you want to know more about music that I like, just ask me, because that's what gives me a battery in my back is like
sharing that information, that
sharing
knowledge.
it, is sharing it and getting other people to feel like I feel about it, and receiving that kind of information from other people just puts a battery in my back. So I think it's cool that you're talking to folks like us, even though I'm not really anybody. But
No, man, you're the host of Journey Through the Crates on WRIR 97.3.
Yeah, a volunteer station with unpaid hosts that carry records up a bunch of steps, break their backs for no money.
You went digging in the crates with DITC.
It's like, but people that like music, will understand it, and we're just a common mind, I think, at the end of the day. So
thanks again.
Cool that you're doing this, man, and respect.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time and being here. Appreciate everybody checking us out in the live chat, live stream. We're feel free to put who you want to rate out to in the comments, and catch us next time. This has been This Oughta Be Good. Big up, Amazon Prime. Thanks again.
Big up, Morty. Appreciate this, man.
Salute.